Hello, and welcome to the Healing Our Industry podcast. This is a space where we facilitate wholehearted conversations and cultivate meaningful connection and belonging. We believe that in order to heal our industry, we must first prioritize our own individual healing. Take your seat at the table and join us for powerful, wholehearted conversations. Together, we can begin healing our industry. But before we dive into today's episode, let us make this very clear. You belong here. You are done trying to prove that you're enough. You are no longer trying to prove that you are worthy. You now choose to accept these statements as irrefutable truths. This version of you is enough and worthy of everything you desire. Are you ready to release those old beliefs and build your dream life from a place of abundant alignment? Are you ready to own your power and expand into the best possible version of you? All right, let's go. So, y'all, this is your host, Nessa, and joining us today for part 2 of our New Year episode is our dear friend and special guest, my sister, Kim.
Hey everybody, I am really excited to be back for the part of our conversation, part 2. I'm still on my sabbatical. I'm coming out of my sabbatical here soon. We're still working on that transition, but I'm really stoked about today's conversation.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's dive right in.
Okay, awesome. So in our last episode, we talked about how we're doing things differently this year for reviewing this current year that we are in. And we're recording this on the very last day of the year,
Yeah.
which I think is totally in alignment for how this all worked out. And how are we reviewing that and why it's important to review and reflect and process all of this and release it before we can actually set new goals for the new year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely. So before we get into how I am doing and how we're doing, because we're doing our own things symbiotically almost. But before we get into that transition of talking about the year ahead, I want to go ahead and do a little bit of reflecting on our own end of year wrap ups. So I wanted to share our experiences by sharing 2 things we're celebrating from 2022 and then 2 to 3 things that we're releasing. So why don't you go ahead and go first, Nessa?
Okay. So the 2 things that I am celebrating are number 1, I was able and I manifested my dream car this year, a dream SUV that has all the features, bells and whistles, safety features, comfort that I really have been wanting for the past couple years. And I'll have to share another time how that all came about, but it was really quick and unexpected. But I'm so thankful for that car. Every time I step into it, I just like allow myself to feel that emotion of thankfulness and gratitude that it's mine and that I made that dream a reality. I would say the second thing that I'm celebrating is being able to have really good health insurance, dental and car insurance this year. For the past couple of years, I either didn't have any or I had a shitty kind. And I was so thankful to be able to manifest that for myself this year as well. So I can have that stability of peace within myself. And I feel like I'm moving further and further away of functioning from like a scary survival mode way of being because I know that my basic needs are met.
Absolutely. Well, and having been a part of your journey, I'm excited for you to eventually share the story about the new car because that was a whirlwind. It was insane. And also the whole health insurance thing, oddly enough, the weirdest shit happens to you. The weirdest shit happens to you. But on the other side of that, it's really cool seeing how, like, that may sound so simple to some people, but for those of you who, I mean, in the beauty industry, insurance is kind of like, normally it's your spouse that has insurance, and for people who don't have a partner who has a health insurance, we're doing self-pay, we're
Mhm.
looking at different options, and it's kind of like a daunting thing for a lot of people unless they're in a situation where it's provided for them.
Right.
And I know I stayed at a corporate salon way longer than I wanted to just because of the amazing insurance, and I know that that's something that keeps a lot of people
Mhm.
in those corporate situations where they feel like they're dying inside.
Mhm.
And I think it's really cool that being independent contractors, entrepreneurs, like running our own businesses, being able to provide those things for ourselves, because I've now made the transition of no longer being on all my husband's stuff to like
Mhm.
having my own insurances and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really powerful feeling to know that you did that for yourself.
Yeah.
So
It
I'm
is
proud of
for
you,
sure.
and I'm excited for you to share more about that later on.
Thank you.
You want to go ahead and get into your well, let me do my celebrations
Yeah.
and then we'll get into our releasings.
Yeah.
Perfect. So there's a lot of things that we're celebrating. When I did my release, I actually did all of my journaling on all of this yesterday and spent the majority of the day processing all of this, and it was like reflecting on the year. I literally went through the year week by week. I went back through my calendar and looked at everything.
Mhm.
And honestly, it kind of put me into that energy, and I started reliving a lot of those emotional experiences in my body.
Mhm.
So I had to do a lot of grounding and processing yesterday, and I had to remind myself to focus on the good and find things to celebrate because it was not for nothing.
Yeah.
And I learned and grew so much this year. But before we dive into those things, I do want to focus on what I'm celebrating.
Yeah.
So the first thing is I had a very, very, very successful price increase
That's awesome.
for my prices behind the chair with my clientele.
Mhm.
And um, I actually reflected on the price increase that I did before that for 2021. And
Mhm.
I compared those two price increases to each other. And over the course of 2021, I was in one of those situations where it was like gain two clients, lose one, lose a client, gain two, like this constant cat and mouse of trying to build. But whenever I did the price increase in 2021, I maybe raised it 25 to 30, 20 to 30%.
Mhm.
And I had a really big fallout.
Okay.
There was quite a few people that did not rebook
Mhm.
once I announced that price increase.
Okay.
This year,
Yeah.
when I did that price increase, I didn't lose a single client.
That's awesome.
And it's the biggest price increase I have ever done.
Yeah.
And I was expecting it. I was bracing for it. And I truly believe that the way that I set myself up for that price increase is what allowed it to go so smoothly. And I had a very, very stark contrast in how I handled that this time. So I'm very proud of myself for that. And it's one of my favorite things to help my mentees with whenever they
Mhm.
do price increases. So reflecting on that, that was huge for me this
Yeah.
year. And the other thing that I'm celebrating for this year is that we, for the first time, other than me hiring Nessa to help out in the salon, we actually grew our team this year.
Mhm.
You guys have heard about our VA, Sierra, and how
Mhm.
wonderful she is. So, growing our team is something that I always thought that other people could have help and I had to do it all. Like,
Mm.
I'm not in the place to let people help me because I'm a control freak, like I'm anal retentive. And like that was the story I was telling myself. Like I can't trust anybody and I can't let go. So having you here to help me with stuff allowed me to see that I can trust people. And it allowed me to like loosen the grip on my business But with me loosening the grip, it allowed me to see that it is my job to bring people on who are better at that thing than I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing in people who are geniuses at their thing.
Yeah.
Because it is a waste of my time to try and figure out their thing.
Yeah.
So along with that, we've brought in a new website designer, which I'm really, really stoked about. I'm not going to share a ton of information on that, but it's something that is kind of part of what we're going to be launching this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I really needed like a full revamp.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to have the support system now where I can say, hey, XYZ, and we speak the same language
Yeah.
and they see it.
Mm-hmm.
So creatives working with creatives, anytime that I had hired a website designer previously, they were not someone who understood me or spoke my language. And it always felt like I left those conversations frustrated because they weren't conceptualizing my vision.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like there was no, like they didn't get it.
Yeah.
So finding people that I can trust and that they see my vision and we have similar creative brains has
Yeah.
been so powerful for me this year, being able to grow the team in that way. And that doesn't mean that I'm hiring full-time employees. That means that I have finally found people I'm in partnership with who are part of my team, but that doesn't have to mean what it traditionally means
Yeah.
for growing the team.
Yeah.
So
Because they can do a job
mm,
so much quicker than
Mhm.
an 8-hour job. They can get it done in maybe 1-2 hours.
yeah, because I don't have the time to train people.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a little bit of training that happens when it comes to how I want something done or how I want something to look. But the people that I'm hiring for these gigs that is just draining me.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I looked at what is draining me.
Mm-hmm.
I hate web design.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely hate it. So why am I going to sit at a computer and torture myself on Wix when there is a wonderful human who loves doing that?
Yeah.
Please do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Please. And then as I grow as a person and as I'm bringing in more abundance, I can then invest in those people and work more with those people
Yeah.
and budget for more hours. So it's one of those things where it's women supporting women and awesome humans supporting awesome humans.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes.
Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
Those are the two things that I wrote down that I feel comfortable sharing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that I processed yesterday that I'm not comfortable sharing publicly.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've been discussing here recently is those boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Like what do we share and what do we wait to share? And there's a lot of my healing journey that I know we will talk about someday. And I'm celebrating my healing and I'm making really, really good progress with it. But I also know that I'm just getting started. And if I expect myself to continue operating the way that I was operating, where it's like, oh, hey guys, I'm going to go take like a month off and then I'll be back and then we'll be good. Like that's not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so much getting back to where I was. I'm in the process of creating a new way of being.
Yeah.
To continue facilitating my healing,
Mm-hmm.
but also fiercely protecting my energy
Yeah.
because I poured out way too much. And I'm a firm believer in not pouring out onto other people, but pouring into yourself so much that you can't help but spill on other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I poked holes in myself to nourish others,
Mm-hmm.
and it bled me dry.
Mm.
And that's not something to celebrate. It's something to reflect and pivot
Yeah.
and heal from. So I don't have a ton to celebrate.
Yeah.
And I really, really had to even like reset to focus on where's the good Kim? It can't all be doom and gloom. It was very Wednesday Addams of me.
Yes.
That is literally the energy of yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm at a good place with it, but looking forward, I know that I need to protect just like we were talking about last week, my time, my energy, my finances. It is my job to protect those resources and set up my expectations and boundaries within my resources to facilitate the life that I want to live. And I did not have enough joy in my life last year.
Yeah.
I was numb and checked out for 11 months. And I refuse to live like that ever again. Ever again. I choose me. So I know that whenever we have this conversation next year, I'm going to have so much to celebrate.
Oh, yeah.
So much to celebrate next year. But I feel like this year was a massive, massive shed and a massive release.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Because I would much rather learn those lessons myself. There are people who spend their entire lives repeating the same lesson over and over again and never learning. Never learning. They give their power away and expect someone else to save them instead of owning their shit and saving themselves. And I'm not going to waste my life on that.
We could really dive deep into that conversation because a lot of that is rooted in religions.
Disconnecting you from yourself.
Yeah.
And that's actually part of my release.
Yeah.
You ready to go into the release?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and share my release if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So I have a thing written out that I'm going to read because I've put so much mindfulness into all of this. I want to make sure that I'm saying it the way I want it to be received. So the first thing I'm releasing is disassociating and disconnecting from self by giving my power away to authority figures I've put on a pedestal, needing their stamp of approval. I was in this place of and I'm releasing what I did, but I have to acknowledge it and give myself love for this, which I've been in the process of doing. And this is not coming into 2023 with me. These are the things that I'm drawing a line in the sand and saying, you shall not pass.
I love that.
This is my, no. The bridge is demolished. You stay over there.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Not allowed to build another one because you've lost the tools.
I mean, this is Moria we're talking about. You literally cannot. I'm just kidding. Okay. So part of that is releasing, always searching for something outside of myself. And that translates for a lot of people to more certifications, more classes. Oh, if I just make sure I'm on top of always having the trend, the new method, the new this, the new that. Always trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, or make sure that they're on the cutting edge and presenting this image of perfection and having their receipts to prove it. Why? What is it for? Are you trying to prove your own worthiness to yourself? Because your clients don't give a fuck what certifications you have. They really, really don't. They don't care what method you do. They want to know that you're doing what's best for them. So who are you trying to prove yourself to?
Yeah.
I had a friend, and that's only the first one, guys. I had a friend message me after my announcement, and she said, after the live that I did, kind of explaining my decision and the changes that I've been making, she messaged me and she was like, Kim, it's like I finally see you and the person who you were trying to present and everything you've been working towards, you finally got back to you. and you're not trying to like be something you're not anymore. When I was in it, I didn't feel like that. I thought I was like in hustle mode. I was like boss babe, hustle mode, just like on my grind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I now know that that was from my ego. And I don't mean that in big dick energy ego. That is not the ego that I'm talking about. I am talking about your inner child seeking love and acceptance and screaming to feel seen and heard and valued and treasured. Like it was my inner child saying, am I enough yet? Am I worthy yet? And no one can give me that but me. And if that's resonating for you and you're listening or watching right now, I I want you to reflect on that. And I want you to think about like why? Why are you searching for those things? And why are you like what are you trying to prove and who are you trying to prove it to? What's the fucking point? Okay, moving on to the next one. Um, one of the other things I'm releasing, and there's like the list for my releases is so long. I tried to summarize and share the things that I felt comfortable sharing. Um, so I summarized it into these two things. But this one I feel is also very, very powerful in and of itself, just like the last one. I'm releasing the belief that I have to have my shit together and everything needs to be perfect in order to lead other people and or myself.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is I'm releasing the belief that I'm not qualified enough to create what I see, the big vision that I have in my head, that I'm not qualified enough to create that and bring my big vision to life. That doubt of self ends here.
Mm-hmm.
That not enoughness, chronic not enoughness, chronic unworthiness. I'm calling it out. I'm bringing it to light. It's fucking bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're done.
Yeah.
So that shit is staying in 2022.
I love
I really
that.
wanted to throw it down, but it's a tablet, not a notebook.
Yes.
And I love this tablet so much, so I'm not doing it.
Yes.
But I just like I on my healing journey, I'm at this place where I I have my fire back, but it's a different fire than I had before. It's this inspired, fierce, calm energy. It is not a hustle to prove anything. It is a standing in my power, owning my own everything. Like my messy, my brave, my awkward, my courage. It's owning all of the many facets of me and the beauty and my imperfections and my inner critic, my inner child, my highest self, all of it. All of the different parts of me that have a seat at the table that inform my decisions. I'm giving them all love and I'm owning my power and just standing in it from a place of peace and groundedness and assurance. I don't have anything to prove to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
I say I'm enough. I say I'm worthy. And that's all I care about.
I love how you have framed and have decided to accept all parts of you because there's this belief out there of like, I am broken, I have to fix myself, I have to cut something off, I need to like letting something go is not necessarily bad, but like if it's in the energy of like I have to completely remove myself from this thing, then when we shift to allowing all these different parts of us, the messy, the beautiful, the imperfect, the crazy, the spontaneous, whatever all that is for you, and you allow it to be, then you allow your creativity, you allow all the past yous to be here and speak, because there's different parts of you and there's different parts of me that need to feel heard, seen, and understood.
Absolutely. And I think that everyone can resonate with that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, and I know because
Mm-hmm.
I am obsessed with researching this shit too.
Yeah.
Um, Whenever we disconnect from ourselves and we silence that inner authority and our higher self, like our intuition, when we silence our intuition,
Or like that quiet little voice that speaks up
yeah,
and it makes sense.
intuition comes from a place of peace.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the inner child, the ego, the inner critic, anything fear-based comes from a place of panic.
Yeah.
I always tell my mentees, is this decision coming from peace or panic? I think we talked about that last week.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that I can tell the difference, even when it comes to like a fear of mine,
Mm-hmm.
like, is this is coming from peace? Like, I don't know about that. Or is this coming from panic of, oh my fucking God, why did
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that energy?
Yeah.
Like there's a different energy.
Yeah.
So paying attention to what my body is telling me. But the thing is, when we're in these situations, it is so easy. And this is why I've completely checked out of social media. It is so easy to look at someone in the industry that we look up to and be like, she has her shit together. I need to give her a ton of my money to give me her answers because she's got her shit together and she can tell me how to get my shit together. Oh, no, no, no.
Yeah.
No, 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 no.
Mm-hmm.
No, 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 no.
Red flag.
That's a massive, massive red flag. But if you are starting to seek answers outside of yourself in that way and be like, oh, well, she has the golden ticket. Like I need her systems and her structures and her all the things. Then we're instantly disconnecting from our own authority and putting someone else up on the pedestal in our lives. And that person now has the authority to speak over you more so than you've given yourself. So it's so easy for the lines to get crossed.
Yeah.
And if the person that you're working with from a mentoring perspective doesn't have your best interest at heart and they just want your money,
Mm-hmm.
which has happened to me,
Mm-hmm.
whenever you say something that checks their reality and makes them question their sense of self and their reality, and you trigger them, because that's part of what happens in mentoring. It's like, as a mentor, you get triggered.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like therapy.
Yeah.
You trigger your therapist,
Yeah.
and it is their job to ground themselves and hold space for you.
Yeah.
It is the same with mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
It is a mentor's job to recognize that, disconnect from it, stay grounded, and support their person.
In the moment and then process.
Yeah, you process in private.
Yeah.
Like, recognize the trigger for what it is,
Mm-hmm.
but you're holding space and you have to stay in that
Yep.
when you're working with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who has studied psychology,
Mm-hmm.
Nessa has her bachelor's in psych, as
Mm-hmm.
we've already discussed on the pod. But that's something that we're obsessed with, is the psychology behind these things.
And the behavior and your motivation and your
Uh-huh.
attitude and why you're doing what
Absolutely.
you're doing.
Exactly. So I have a lot to say about manipulative marketing, but also most people, unless you're someone who has done a lot of work to be a creator on Instagram and you know marketing strategies and all of that, most people are just blind consumers, even in our own industry.
Yeah.
And I hate saying that because it sounds like, it doesn't sound good. And I don't like how that feels saying that.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to feel dumb.
Right.
It's just marketing has gotten so slick.
It has.
It's gotten so sly, and
Because they
It
use
has,
our emotions.
and they're paying attention to people who are heart-centered
Yeah.
and using woo-woo words
Yeah.
to manipulate
Yeah.
to get what they want out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And it pisses me the fuck off.
Yeah.
So I have a lot to say about manipulative marketing. But I will say to everyone listening, please pay attention and trust your intuition. If someone is disconnecting you from yourself and saying that they know better than you and not pointing you back to your own authority and your own magic and awesomeness, they're not for you.
It'll feel far from peace.
It's like, but I'm just going to ignore it because it's fine because this person knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's very easy to just breeze past that. And that processing can even be like less than one second. Like
Yeah.
it is a very, very quick transition from I don't know about that to it's fine. They know what they're talking about. I trust this person.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. And if that's you, it's a process to learn your own emotions. It's a process to connect to your own body. That doesn't mean that you step into self-criticism right now and get upset at yourself. It's just an awareness. That's all this is. Just knowledge is power. And once you know more, you can do better. Who said that? Once you know more.
Know better, do better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But I have to say,
Mm-hmm.
this is a tangent, but it's not.
Okay.
I am, and I have been for several months now, obsessed with researching and learning all the things about cults
Mm-hmm.
and the red flags that I see from people in authority positions in our extension industry and the parallels between cult leaders and what's been going on in our industry is astounding.
Wow.
Like, I'm watching the series on HBO about Nexium, and I cannot,
Mm-hmm.
like, I could do an entire podcast on cults.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is paying attention to how the victims don't even know they're a victim.
Yep.
And these are smart people,
Mm-hmm.
intelligent people being manipulated and condoning it, not even aware of what's happening. So it's just, I think we all need to do better about not blindly trusting and trusting our intuition when it says something. When your body speaks, listen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, can you please share your release with us, Nessa?
I would say that one of my two is similar to that one that you just mentioned about reconnecting to your power and to stop looking for outside approval. I mean, I've even done this with you because of just our relationship, that it's been normal for me to just trust what you have to say. But there actually have been times where what you told me to do or suggested, more like suggested me to do, it didn't work out. And that's okay.
And that's the thing, like, I'm big sister. So, like, we've been conditioned to where, like, I'm the boss.
Yeah.
And you have to listen.
Yeah.
And that's not who we are anymore.
Right.
Like, that role has been tabled.
Yeah.
And
not the sister part, but her being my boss.
Yeah, exactly. Not like it's always a red flag. And as big sister, I did it. And I have been processing what it was like having to be the parent from such a young age, and how when you're 8, 9, 10, having to be a parent to your younger siblings, you parent the way your parents parented, or just like what you see. So it could even be something you see on TV.
Yeah.
Like, you are pulling shit out of your ass because you are not an adult.
Right. You haven't
So
had enough life experience to know how.
exactly. So power over another person instead of power with is the biggest red flag ever. And I have been the perpetrator of that, especially to you. So that is something that I've had to do a lot of processing and healing. And it's something that's so ingrained. I have to really, really check myself. And it's becoming more normal to not do that, but it is an ego response.
Mm-hmm.
It's a seeking control.
Yeah.
So it should never be that someone's word is like gospel, like the end all be all.
The law.
Yeah, exactly. It should never be one person's word is it.
Mm-hmm.
I always want Vanessa to use her intuition and her gut to check what I'm saying and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. So as our relationship has transitioned into more power with, power together, we honor each other's boundaries and recognize when the other is maybe, I guess, a word like out of alignment,
In a funk.
and
Yeah,
just be
out
like,
of
okay,
alignment
that's
is good.
fine. Recognize she just needs some time.
And we have to know it's not about me. Like she's going through something and I'm going to hold space for her and we're ready to talk, we'll talk.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely for me, of the releasing of taking somebody else's word as law.
But also, because of everything that I went through this year,
Yeah.
I had a lot of decay in my personal relationships, which was a massive red flag. In particular, like mostly Nessa and Ben got the shit end of the stick on that. And that's something that I've also had to process is the hurt that I have caused. So Nessa talking about what she's been releasing, like, I'm so proud.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I think it's just important to take ownership of that.
Yeah.
Because you are so fucking powerful.
Thank you.
And what you bring to the table is insane. And I'm so proud of you and like watching you grow and blossom. And I think it's important for me to take ownership of where I have fucked up. Because we've talked about these things personally, but especially on the podcast. Like, I think it's important for our listeners, our followers, our people to know, like, this is just part of healing.
Yeah.
And sometimes your own healing is messy and it affects, or always your own healing is messy and it affects other people.
Yeah.
And that's okay. This is Vanessa's story. And Vanessa's voice is powerful. And I love seeing the growth that you've had despite the shit I've put you through.
Character building. It has definitely been a journey, but it's also given me room to allow my voice to grow.
Yes.
Because it needed to have that spark. So it needed to have that, oh no, nobody else gets to speak for me except me.
It's not why me, it's try me.
Yeah. And then I would say the second thing was at home office space. I used to dream about having an office space at home, but now it's just too much. I need to have a place away where I can separate my energy from the masculine work mode, the think hard, dream big, so that I have space to step into my feminine side, my rest, peaceful, have a cup of tea, watch the sunrise energy, sleep in energy, stay in my pajamas energy.
We do that
Dance.
now.
So yeah, it's been nice, and as we are, you know, restructuring, I could say, like, maybe just moving some things around in our business space, being able to have offices is really nice.
It's wonderful.
It is.
I think it's a really, really good thing to talk about how, like, working from home isn't as glamorous as people act like it is.
Because you have other people's energies, dogs, other people need you, and it's hard to do your work.
Mm. It's much more difficult
Mhm.
than, I mean, if it was just like me at home, probably a lot easier to have like a designated space there. But being, especially something that I think really solidifies this is we work together in all aspects of our business.
Mhm.
We do everything. So it makes it very, very hard for us to separate our personal lives and our personal time.
Mhm.
So when we're with family, we've had to create new boundaries and expectations of how we use our energy and like, okay, this is personal time. We're not talking about work. So physically leaving work at work, obviously we bring home our laptops and stuff, but like the work happens at work. And when we're home, we can actually unplug mentally. And that's the thing, like a lot of this is the mental weight.
Mhm.
So it's a physical representation
Yeah,
of like what is going on internally for us
exactly.
and being able to separate that and be fully present.
Mhm.
Because if work is always staring at you at home, it is so hard to unplug and be.
Yeah.
And it's not even, I know you used masculine, feminine, and I think that's very true, but also a lot of our work recently has been bringing that flow into our work
Exactly.
and not being in that masculine hustle,
Yeah.
grind culture. Like
Yeah.
we are flipping that on its head.
Yeah.
So I think that having the separate spaces
Mhm.
will allow us. I mean, it
Flow
is.
through each.
Yes, and this is still a new setup. Like we are currently we are in one of the offices right now recording this.
Mhm.
But we're in this state of like there is no blueprint that we are following.
Yeah.
We're not looking to anyone for guidance on these things. Like we're literally writing our own story.
Yeah.
This is a whole new act.
Way of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, like this is like it's not a new chapter. This is a whole new season, a whole new direction.
Mhm.
And we're not getting answers from anywhere other than ourselves.
Mhm.
And we're creating a new way of doing business
Yeah.
and creating the life that we want. And it's beautiful.
Yeah. It really is, though.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool that we get to do this together
Mm-hmm.
and build a business which actually works for us
Yeah,
and not copycat somebody else.
I love it.
Mhm.
It feels like it in my body, it's so peaceful and it just feels good
It
to
does.
be able to do that.
It does.
Absolutely.
Well, those are the things that I'm releasing that I want to share.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
I know that we both have like massive, massive lists of all this stuff. I feel good about everything that we shared. But
Mhm.
something that I think is very interesting is that you and I both, without knowing the other person did it,
Yeah,
ended up writing release poems.
we did. We did.
We did, which is so like ironic. But we talked about it and we
Yeah.
read these to each other before we started recording, and we both feel safe and comfortable sharing our poems with you guys that we
Yeah.
wrote. So, Nessa, can you go ahead and read yours first?
First, because I have to pull it up on my device. So you go ahead.
Okay, I will read mine first. So, I'm calling this my 2023 manifesto. So, well, Nessa, you already have yours pulled up.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I wanted you to go first because it flows the way that I wrote it to flow.
Okay. Bear with me.
We're not like OCD or anything like that.
Okay. So here it goes. My poem is called Questions for the Unknown. So many questions. Here I am, where I said, quote, to be comfortable and welcome the unknown, close quote. It is not that easy to make a resting place within the questions and allow there to be no straight answer. But here, it's not a place unfamiliar to me. It's another visit, a stopping by, a hello and welcome for now. And I'll see you another time. So here I am, but here I will not remain. I will be moving on. So during my stay in the unknown, I might as well take a seat on this bench to contemplate my being and sit comfortably under this tree to eat a snack and watch the rustling of the leaves, to talk with the old me and the new me, to see what we were and what we will be. We spoke about the lessons we learned and how we chose to love our messy, imperfect, spontaneous self. We listened to our internal voice that said she needed, she wanted, she hoped, and desired. It was the first time we recognized that she even had a voice to speak, to say, to express. And when she chose to speak what she wanted to say, it was with power, grace, loving kindness, and an understanding that saw beyond the surface of expression from deep within, knowing the true source. So thank you, unknown, for showing me it's okay to be, to rest, and to sleep before the shifting.
It's so beautiful. I
Thank
love it so
you.
much. I feel like it's even more powerful hearing it a second time.
Mm,
Like
Thank
it's
you.
so good.
Thank you.
I definitely need more writing from you, Nessa.
Yeah, we're liking the poem
I love
poem
it.
flow.
It's just, it's like you painted a picture and I was in it.
Mhm.
And I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, ready for my 2023 manifesto?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. I release the reins I have been holding on my potential and my power. I remove the gag I placed on my knowing and call her forward as my guide. I release my wallflower and call in my wild. Authenticity, integrity, courage, and bravery are my guideposts. Let my wholehearted, messy self be an example and safe space for others to fall apart and rebuild too.
That felt like I had goosebumps while you were releasing those things. Like sometimes I feel energy in my gut and I felt like a whoa energy.
Oh,
Yeah, it was really
thank you.
beautiful. I could definitely feel the shifting in your voice and in the energy.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
It's amazing how powerful this releasing shit is.
Mhm.
Like just putting it out there that like this is I am done with this. This is not serving me. This is
Mhm.
actually hurting me.
Yeah.
Like it's taking the thorn out so the wound can heal.
Mhm.
Okay, so now
Mhm.
that we've reviewed our review,
Yeah.
I would love to get into why we're breaking up with goal setting in the first place.
Yeah.
So, we talked a little bit last week about how goal setting and New Year's resolutions and all of that has become this capitalism train that just like steamrolls us every year. Like we set these goals and we have all these things we want to tick off and accomplish and things we want to do. And it's like you get to the end of the year and it's like we did some of those things, but a lot of those things we didn't do, or even, setting a fitness goal. And we have these massive expectations of ourselves. And it's like January 1st, it just like the calendar flips over and it's like, okay, well, now I have to go to the gym 5 days a week and I have to eat these perfectly portioned 3 meals a day and, live my life to this new level of perfection because it's a new year, it's a blank canvas, it's a fresh start, and I have the opportunity to do the reset, and this is my opportunity. And we put so much pressure on ourselves with all of this New Year's resolution goal setting bullshit. And the way that we have reframed that and started doing things differently, I think is very, very powerful. So I'm excited to share that with everybody so that if they choose to try it out, they actually have like a thorough process for getting there. So the reframe and the way that we do this differently, we like to call it intention setting, but it is like very mindful intention setting. We're not just calling our goals intentions.
Right.
Like this is a very thorough process of vetting something to see if it even needs to be for you in the first place.
Like continue with it.
Yeah, like is this yours or are you trying to do something you saw someone else do? So now you're like attaching yourself to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So goal setting, whenever we fall short of our goals, that's failure. And we're setting ourselves up to feel that failure and get discouraged and defeated. And that leads to self-loathing.
Yeah.
And that's that loop that we get stuck in. And obviously, it makes it even harder to accomplish those goals whenever you're self-loathing.
Yeah.
So by focusing on like mindful intention setting, when you don't hit the mark and it's not like you didn't hit it perfectly exactly the way that you wanted to, because the thing is, like, we're all messing these things up. We are not perfect, and growth is a journey. It's a process.
It's abstract.
It
There
is
an abstractness to reaching quote unquote goal or reaching your intention for the year.
Exactly. So coming at it from a place of an intention setting, whenever we don't quite get it, it's a redirect. It's like the GPS doing a route recalculation because we missed the exit. It's not go home, quit the trip, you're done. Like it's a totally different energy. It's just like a little reset, which is coming from a place of encouragement. Like when a kid's learning to walk, you don't be like, you need to quit. Like, you suck. It's like, oh, it's okay. Just get back up and try again.
Exactly.
And it's giving ourselves that love. And coming from a place of encouragement leads to self-love, which keeps us inspired to keep going. Whereas that goal setting leads to the self-loathing.
Yeah, and it's like the energy of like a spanking or a whooping, or you have to go in the corner energy just because you miss the turn. That's not how we're moving forward in 2023.
Absolutely not. We are.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want. This is just what we're doing. And if you want to be on the journey with us, you're welcome to come and we're going to give you some like guides for that. But like, we are so done with all the bullshit. We are so done.
Yeah.
And this new way of being that we're creating is so like expansive and life-giving and peaceful. Like, what the fuck were we doing?
Yeah, we were doing all that we knew to do.
We were doing the best we could with the information that we had.
There was another way.
Yeah.
So we had to learn a new way.
It's taken a lot for me to be at a space where it's not like I wasted so much time.
Yeah.
Like, what was I doing? Why did I let this happen? Where did my time go? And I've learned to take the lessons for what they are and not be in that rage of I lost so much time.
Mm-hmm.
I learned so much.
Yeah.
And lessons stick when you learn them yourself.
Yes.
It's so different living something instead of hearing about it from someone else's lived experience.
Yeah.
So if it took a couple years of my life to learn lessons for myself so that I can be in the space where I can support other people, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've made peace with that.
Mm-hmm.
Pisses me off,
Yeah.
but I've made peace with it.
You can hold both emotions in your body.
Yes. And both of those things are true.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to like direct people because I have a series of questions that are going to facilitate this shift of going from goal setting to mindful intention setting.
That cannot all be answered right now. You can
No.
always come back to this podcast and listen to it, write it
Mhm.
down. We could even have the questions posted in the show notes so that they can come back to it instead of always having to, what do you think? Putting it in the show notes?
I don't love the idea of putting it in the show notes.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay.
And the reason for that is it's not the same as hearing it.
So hear it and write it down.
Yes. And that's the thing, like, we're not coming into class to give people cheat sheets.
Good point.
We're enabling them if they're not doing the work.
Valid point. That makes sense.
So I will absolutely give people like the information they need in the show notes, but I'm never going to give people like the cheat codes or the answers to where they don't have to actually show up.
So listen, write it down. If you miss it, you can come back to it.
What I would say, I agree. I would listen to it once. Just listen. And then you can like write down this time marker and then come back to this point the second time around with your pen and paper ready to write these questions down.
Yeah.
But I think that you need to pay attention to what your body is telling you and just focus on being in your body and that visceral feeling and what your gut is telling you the first time you listen to all of this.
Yeah.
Then go back, make your notes, do your reflections, and be in it. But don't expect yourself to do both of those at the same time.
Yeah. There's no end, there's no test.
No.
There's nothing that you have to hurry up and get to.
No.
This is a really great time, January, February time to work on this.
Winter's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
You can't just go, 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 go all the time, or you're spending a bunch of energy going nowhere.
Yes.
Like, we have to rest. We have to sit down and look at the map again. And that's what we're doing. So these questions are going to guide you through that process.
Yes.
And we're going to do some reflecting in the processing of these questions, but there is a very specific roadmap that we're going to follow for this.
Okay. Hit us with your questions.
So based on the things, this is from the work you did last week. And if you did not do last week's work, do not pass go. Like this, you have to do last week's reflecting and processing and releasing before you can continue on this. Okay. So if you're still listening, I trust that you did the work. And if not, that's on you, boo. You're going to have to repeat this again. Don't say I didn't warn you. Okay. Based on the things that are no longer working and I released to leave in 2022. First question, what adjustments do I need to make in order to facilitate that change? So something's not working. A change needs to happen. You have three options. You can let it go, which means stop doing the thing. Find a way to break that off, right?
Yeah.
Let it go is number one. Number two is outsource. Hire it out if possible. If it needs to stay.
Yeah.
Can we outsource it? If we cannot outsource it or we do not want to outsource it, that's when we restructure. We need to find a different system or process to make it to where it's working.
Yeah.
Like, is this something that needs a little repair? Is this a trash it? Is this a rework it?
Recycle it?
Exactly. We have options. So we're going to let it go, outsource, or restructure.
Mm-hmm.
All the things that are not working.
Yes.
Any thoughts before I move on?
No, I'm ready. Keep going.
I do need a drink of water.
Okay.
Still
I
lots
think
of
that
thought.
those were all very good points, and it really helped to like put it, like assimilate it to throwing away physical trash.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, letting other people speak into my life and have authority over me, letting that shit go.
Mm-hmm.
It's not coming with me.
Mm-hmm.
You don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Moving on.
moving on. But
Okay.
that could be something as simple as like, is there a subscription you need to cancel?
Yeah.
Because you're thinking about all of these things in terms of resources, right?
Yeah.
So the framework that we talked about last week was, where are our time,
Mhm.
our energy, and our finances going?
Yeah.
So if something is not working in those 3 areas, this is the process we go through to go through those things.
Yeah.
So that could be a subscription, that could be a friendship,
Mm-hmm.
that could be your salon schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into that. Next question. How do I want to feel? Feel is written in all caps, guys. How do I want to feel in my day-to-day life this year?
Mm-hmm.
And that is pertaining to your mind,
Yeah.
mentally, your body, how your body wants to feel this year, and your energy. Energy could be your spirit, your essence, your energy levels. Like that is an all-encompassing
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
So I want people to think about, it's so easy to just say mind, body, energy, or mind, body, spirit. Like
Yeah.
it is so easy to just say those things.
Yeah.
But in reflecting on this year, the mental weight that I carried with me
Yeah.
all year was debilitating.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't quantify that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't put that on paper. You can't
Put it on a scale.
put on a scale. You can't fully express that or explain that to someone. It is in you in your own head. It's you in your own body.
Yeah.
And that mental weight translates to the body.
Mm-hmm.
I suffered with extreme insomnia this year.
Mm-hmm.
I had months of barely any sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That is a mental weight that translates into a bodily response.
Yeah. That stress affects all parts of the body.
Which
It's
then,
all connected.
yes, which then translates into and affects my energy
Right.
because I had none.
Yeah.
So, and then it's this constant like, well, I don't have any energy.
Yeah.
So my mind is this constant spiral, and it's this just vortex of anxiety, overwhelm, some depression, this needs me, this needs me, this needs me, this me. I'm not doing enough here, I'm not doing enough there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I suck. Oh, I promised I was going to do this. I don't want to let people down. Oh my God, I didn't even see my family today. I don't remember the last time that I've eaten. This just it was like a funk,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like this weight was on my body and I couldn't function.
Couldn't move, couldn't figure out where to go, blindsided.
And I truly believe it started in that exact process: mental, physical, energetic.
Yeah.
And emotion is in there.
Yeah.
Because emotion
You
is
feel it in your body.
yeah, and emotion is in the mind, the body, and the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like emotion is in all of those.
Yeah.
So I don't take that question lightly when I say, how do I want to feel in my day-to-day life this year? Something I've really been reflecting on is like, life isn't made of the couple vacations that you take for the year. Life is made of the daily moments. It's your morning coffee. It's your cuddles.
Mm-hmm.
It's tucking your kids in bed at night, bath time. It's eating dinner together,
Mm-hmm.
turning off the TV and talking instead of watching a show.
Yeah.
It's those tiny moments that build our actual lives, not just the thing that we're always looking towards, not our business goals, not where we're headed. It's this is the only thing you have right now. The past is gone.
Right.
The future is not guaranteed. This present moment is what you have. So how do we sink in? How do we drop into our body and be in the present moment and actually show up for ourselves so that we can show up for other people?
We have to learn what it's like to connect with our body, because a lot of us disassociate from our body.
Absolutely. And the health and wellness industry profits from us from disconnecting us from our bodies.
Yeah.
Just like the personal development space benefits from disconnecting you
From your own power.
from your own power and your own intuition,
Your own knowing.
your own knowing.
Mm-hmm.
So even asking, like, where are other people profiting from me operating like this?
We don't really think about that because we're in survival mode. But having this conversation helps us to think about that a little bit, as far as our mind and brain will let us go.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why I'm not making fitness goals this year. I think this is the first year that I do not have a body fat percentage, a weight. I have 0 number goals.
Or calorie count.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I will share this. I'm very thorough with my processes, but something I know for a fact is going to be on my intention setting board, if you will. Like whenever I go through my process of this intention setting, my goal is to connect with my body and let my body be the authority, because the body knows. The body holds wisdom. And in reconnecting with myself over this last month, there's so like your intuition speaks to you through the body. Your emotions, your mental health, all of these things speak to you in your body.
Yes.
So if you're disconnected from your body, how do you even know what's going on?
Yeah.
So letting my body, like listening and honoring her, trusting her. Because a lot of times for me, and I don't know if it's like this for you, but when I know something, I'll even hear myself tell you, like, I don't know how I know this, but I know, like, I know that I know this. Just like with Teddy, whenever I saw him, I was like, that's my dog.
Yeah.
That's my baby. I don't know how I know that. I don't know why. I wasn't even thinking about adopting from this nonprofit. I just really love the cute dogs. And I was like, holy shit, that's my dog.
Yeah.
For who I am, and this is human design speaking, like, my knowing is just a knowing.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. I can't quantify it, but I just have this assurance and this peace and this like grounded stance internally where it's like, that's my dog.
Yeah.
And I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to get picked and I'm going to find a way to fly him home. And I did.
You did. It was so cool. Just you do that.
But like, I wouldn't have continued pursuing that if I didn't believe myself and I didn't trust myself. Yeah. And that was when I was still functioning in a really fucked up space.
Yeah, but your intuition found a crack.
It did. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Yeah.
So the question being, how do I want to feel in my day-to-day life this year? In order to make that feeling a reality, I have to set myself up to hold that new energy. I'm going to repeat that one more time, guys. In order to make that feeling The feeling that you just wrote down on your paper and you identified, that feeling, in order to make that feeling, for me, it is like grounded, peaceful, calm, like a calm water where it's like there may be a ripple, but it's going to take care of itself.
Yeah.
Like this assurance, this.
You
Like
have
a-
your boat. You
Yeah.
have your boat.
Like a wise sage,
Yeah.
just being.
Yeah.
Kind of Wonder Woman, but like a wise old Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
That's the vibe for me.
Yes.
But in order to make that feeling a reality, I need to set myself up to hold that new energy. So the question is, what do I now want a typical day to look like?
So this is the next question.
This is the next question, but we're going to be doing what do I want a day to look like and what do I want my week to look like?
Okay.
So I literally want people to think about a day.
Yes.
And you can do it for a work day, you can do it for a personal day, but I feel like it's very powerful for a work day. What do you now want this day to look like? Because remember, life is made up of these things.
Yeah.
I want you to think morning routine to bedtime routine and all of the time in between. What do you want that to look like?
Even if you can't do like specific timestamps, just write down in the sequence of which the day pretty much goes.
I know for me, I normally wait till the last possible minute to get off the couch, and then I'm in a panicked flurry trying to get ready to come to the salon. That doesn't work. It doesn't feel good. Like I'm literally freaking out about being behind, and I often show up 30 to 45 minutes past when I actually wanted to be here. Not that my client is waiting on me. I normally get here, like I want to be here an hour before my client. I'm normally here 10 to 15 minutes before my client, which is not enough time for me to eat breakfast, put on a little bit of makeup, make sure that everything is set up the way that I want it set up, and then discuss our day and our game plan for the day. I want to make sure that we have time for that.
Yeah.
So I also love my morning time, because morning time is when I get grounded and when I find my peace to be in my peace for the day.
Yeah.
So how do I find I don't like the word balance, but like, how do I find the cohesiveness between the rest that I need and the way that I need to be in a peaceful state, and then the structure of being to work by the time that I need to be at work?
Like a flexibility within your balance, that it doesn't have to be structured, strict, and like everything's equal, but allow there to be some room for flow.
So embracing flexibility.
Yeah.
Versus striving for the ever elusive balance, because balance is not real. There's an ebb and flow.
Life is abstract.
Yes.
Stuff happens. But we can still be in a peaceful state.
With that being said, I think about people who book their clients so tight they can't pee.
Yeah.
What happens when something goes wrong?
Right.
Like, if you're not giving yourself that flexible time between clients, you're screwing
5, 10, 15
Yeah.
minutes at least.
You're screwing yourself over if you don't give yourself breathing room.
Yeah, because then you're going to be in a more of a rush state, and then you're going to get more frustrated throughout the day.
Well, and I even think about people who are booked solid and not pre-planning their vacation time. What happens when life happens?
Yeah.
What happens when a family member gets sick?
Yeah.
Because it's going to happen.
Yep.
You don't know when it's going to happen.
Right.
How do you set yourself up to be able to pivot?
Yeah. There has to be some space, some wiggle room, some honoring of your own life over your clients.
Is this the year that you finally drop a day in the salon? Is it time to go from 5 to 4 or 4 to 3 or 3 to 2? Is this the year that you give yourself an extra day at home?
Yeah.
You don't have to make it an office day. You can set yourself up to actually have time being present with your family.
Time to rest.
Yeah. Or even saying, you know what, I'm going to get out of the salon earlier. I'm going to start cutting my days off at 2 instead of 5.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a thing too. It doesn't have to be like a total,
Cut the day.
yeah. Like, how would that feel?
Yeah.
For a lot of women, that would be getting out before the kids.
Right.
And then once you're gone, and family time is family time.
Mm-hmm.
Not like you're missing out on things.
Right.
There's so many ways of looking at this, but like, what life are we missing out on? And we're telling ourselves it has to be this way, but we're saying that because we learned that from someone else.
Yeah.
Like, that is not.
And does that someone else have the life that you have? More than likely not.
Or are you even seeing their full life? Because Instagram's a highlight reel, y'all.
Yeah.
That's not people's real life.
Mm-hmm.
You are not seeing the bullshit behind the scenes.
Right.
You're also usually not ever seeing the support system that people have.
Yeah.
To be able to make it look like they have their shit together.
Right.
That irritates the fuck out of me.
Yes.
Like, don't act like everything's pretty and your life is just wonderful whenever you have a personal assistant. You have assistants, multiple assistants in the salon, and a salon manager, and you have a house manager and a cleaner and a nanny. Like, don't fuck people up like that.
Yeah.
It pisses me off so much because then women especially are like, well, I will never be able to be at the level of that person.
Like, fuck this shit.
What's the point in me even trying? I'm never going to get there.
Yeah.
Well, it's not real.
Right.
It doesn't exist.
Exactly.
So no, you're right. You're never going to get there. No one's going to get there.
Exactly.
You're one person.
Yes.
Stop acting like you have to do it all yourself.
Yes. You do.
I'm talking to me too, guys.
Yes.
Okay. This was one of the things that I released.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
We're in this together.
Okay. So within what do I now want a typical day or week to look like, we're also thinking about, we're also in this process integrating the work that we did last week. So when it comes to our energy, this is leading into the next question. It's a part B, but it's not. So in thinking about our energy, our time, and our finances, what relationships, partnerships, and commitments do we need to lean into or part ways with? And here's the thing. This absolutely still counts something that you're neutral about, because we are either growing or dying. And this is a pruning process, and this is something that we even talked about, and I know we talked about the winery, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again, but something that we learned when we were looking at the grapes, they explained like each of these plants, like the
vines,
each of the vines
can rooted into the ground.
Yeah, they can only handle like 3 to 5 clusters.
Yeah.
So whenever you have all these extra ones on there that aren't doing as well as the other ones, they're actually siphoning vital energy and nutrients
and flavor.
Yeah, to the grapes that need to stick around. We need the main thing to have all of those resources. We don't need to have all these other ones that are like, they're okay, like they're fine, they're good grapes. It's not like they're shriveling up, you're not growing anything, they're not infested. If it's not growing and it's not the main thing, it's got to go. So something else I've said before, and I will say it again, is every yes you give out is a no to your family, and it's a no to yourself.
Yeah.
So you protect those yeses.
Yes.
This is the same thing, guys. So what relationships, partnerships, and commitments do you need to nourish and lean into that are life-giving? What do you need to lean into? and spend those wisely. And then what do we need to let go of? Where is it time to part ways?
Mm-hmm.
You are not a shitty person for ending a relationship or cutting people off or no longer initiating all the time. Like, we're adults. You can't be best friends with everyone. Okay, guys? I think a lot of us, I know so many of us are recovering people pleasers.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Yep.
We don't want to be shitty.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, something for me that I have realized, like, if someone isn't pouring into me in the same way that I'm pouring into them, that's not a good relationship for me. I might love that person, we might get along great, but if I'm always the one where I'm solving their problems, answering their questions, and they can't hold space for me, but I'm always holding space for them, that's not reciprocation.
Mm-hmm.
So where is there not reciprocity?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't deserve your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Your energy deserves to be going to the places where it is seen and valued and treasured, not dismissed or thrown to the side or
Cut off.
or people that make you shrink.
Yeah.
Places, relationships, spaces, anywhere where you can't be your most authentic self has to go.
Yeah.
And that's a hard one. It's a really, really, really hard one.
Yeah.
Letting go opens up space for more of what is good for us.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that means like stopping that monthly bridge club or whatever the fuck people do to socialize. I don't do that. I don't know. But like,
Whatever that socializing thing is.
whatever a regular engagement is, that it's kind of like, oh, I have that thing, but it's kind of obligatory. Maybe that needs to go so you can give yourself white space, like an afternoon of self-care.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Nap time,
alone time.
snack time.
I think people really, really undervalue solitude because, especially as women, we're such like nourishers, even to each other, right? We're so often surrounded by other people, we never have time to be in our own energy
Yeah.
and come back to ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
which is doing a disservice to ourselves and also the people that need us to show up for them.
Yeah.
Like, we can't show up for them drained.
Right.
So where in your schedule are you taking care of you?
And what if we reframed that in order for you to be there for the other people in your life that matter most, you have to first take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
That matters a lot more. Just like they say in the airplane, you have to put on your mask first before helping somebody put on theirs.
Mhm.
It absolutely applies to your business.
Yes. And I will say, the more you grow, the less people are capable of holding space for you the way that you need them to. So there is this processing and like a grieving
Mm-hmm.
of what you thought life was going to look like or who you thought was going to be around you as you're growing and becoming who you want to be and creating the life you want to live. So something I've learned is like holding these things not with a clenched fist, but with open hands and remembering the only constant is change.
Mm-hmm.
The only constant is change. So how do we hold these relationships with open hands instead of tight fists?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the relationships that we want to be permanent are seasonal.
Yeah.
So
Just an awareness first, and then an acceptance will happen more than likely after we have grieved that thing that we are having a hard time letting go.
Absolutely.
And then after we accept it, we can let it be and follow through with what we know we need to do
Yeah.
and take those actions.
I also think it's an opportunity to reflect and pay attention to our attachment styles. And
Psych.
this is psych. The psychology behind why we are attracted to and pulled towards certain people often has to do with our attachment style
Mm-hmm.
and the wounds we're trying to heal
Yeah.
by gravitating towards certain types of people.
Yeah.
So even just raising that level of self-awareness and
Mhm.
reflecting on, well, why do I keep finding the same type of person?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because whenever you are focusing on growth, you have to get through the messy self-awareness. Otherwise, it's just ego bullshit.
Yep. Takes time. It also takes time by allowing yourself to do that. And maybe it means you need some time to process. Do a little at a time and dive into it when you're ready, but don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. What will happen how it's supposed to.
Absolutely. I think a lot of these things we're holding on because of our own comfort. And it's often a coping mechanism of facilitating excuses
Yeah.
and keeping us safe and that familiarity of those people that are familiar, and it keeps us safe. But a lot of that is actually blocking us from unlocking our magic.
Yeah. Our power.
Exactly. Which leads us into the next question,
Mm-hmm.
which is, where am I scared of unlocking my full potential?
Mm-hmm.
What is that fear saying to you?
Fear is like, I like to think of it as not good or bad. It is an emotion and it is the body telling us, it's giving us messages. Because it's not like you have this outside physical other head that speaks to you of like, hey, don't go there, or this other one, go there, you know?
There
It's
is no devils on the shoulder.
exactly,
Devil and
there's
angel.
no, I don't have three heads. I have one head and one mouth, and my internal body can only speak to me through emotions.
Well, and like good and bad and safe and scary are subjective. They are
Yeah,
not black and white.
right.
I think the world is so much more gray. It would be so nice if the world was black and white. It would be easy.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the world we live in.
Yeah.
And so many people's brains seek that black and white, good, bad.
Because that makes it easier.
Yeah.
And then when we, like, if you're feeling fearful, it's because your body is trying to keep you safe. When it recognizes something outside of you that feels threatening, it goes straight into survival mode.
Because it's unknown.
Yes, because it's unknown or it brings up a familiar thing that happened in the past. And you're gonna fight, fly, fawn, which is like a
Freeze.
shrinking or freeze and or
I
freeze.
think it's fight or flight, freeze and fawn.
Yeah.
Fawn is like, maybe they won't see me.
Yeah.
And then freeze is obviously like a numb,
Yeah.
I can't fight.
Mhm.
I can't run away. I'm stuck here.
Yeah. It can happen with anything. It's not just like the most scariest thing you could think of. It happens even with the simplest things of maybe just looking at your finances.
Oh,
That definitely
absolutely.
happened for me.
Yeah.
Anything in which the body feels triggered inside, it's like, oh no. Then
Mm,
automatically your brain turns on these alarms and it makes decision making pretty quick to where you're either going to do those four F's of what we just mentioned.
mm-hmm. So the body also experiences scared and excited through the same like neural pathways. Like the
Mhm.
body experiences those the same. So one of our favorite words, which is Glennon Doyle, Abby Wambach word, is
Yeah.
skyded,
Yeah.
which is a combination of scared and excited.
Yes.
Like, I'm a little freaked out, but I know it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the work is reminding our body and our inner child that, like, hey, this move I'm making in my business is safe. The rug is not going to be ripped out from underneath me. I've got this.
But also, it's okay to listen to those fears as well.
Yes, and validate
tell those fears of the little person inside of you of whatever it needs to hear.
Absolutely. And it's usually the inner child screaming in the back seat going, you know, are we there yet?
Are we? I'm scared.
It's dark.
Yeah.
Why? What's going on?
Yeah.
Can we go home now? Just like
Yeah.
blaring.
Yeah.
But also, there is valid fear from a place of, I do not want to die.
Yeah.
And the body speaks to us through that as well. That is like a logical, like, obviously, I'm not the person that's going to skydive. I know people do it. I don't want to do it. I have no desire to do it. It's a very different energy than like, oh my God, it's a little scary, but I'm kind of excited.
Yeah.
That's a very different energy than fuck that shit.
Yeah.
So whenever we are using the context of like, where am I scared of unlocking my full potential? It's like, where are you functioning at 80% because you're scared that if you gave it 100%, what if it's not enough still? Or you're keeping your power or your fierceness tamped down so that you stay safe, like from a self-preservation standpoint. Where are you holding back and not like unleashing, just like in the release that I was talking about, like I am releasing the reins on my potential. I know what I'm capable of, and I know what my dreams are, and I know that I'm ready. I'm ready to go for it and accomplish those things and build what I see. And it took a lot for me to get to the point where I could even say that to myself, that I was holding back. This is something that I love the way that Abby Wambach talks about it in her book called Wolfpack, which I know I've talked about that on the pod before, but it is the best leadership book ever written, probably. And you could read
so simple.
You could read it in 30 to 45 minutes, start to finish. Yeah. But it is the most impactful book I've ever read. Yes. Obviously, Brene Brown's work is everything. Yeah. But even Brene is like, no, this is the best. Yeah. You're learning from an Olympian who led our women's soccer team to world championships, Olympic gold medals. That woman knows how to lead. Yeah. And something that she talks about, one of the chapters is dedicated to like holding yourself back. Because you're scared to outshine other people, or you're scared of having the attention on yourself. And that's not how we go to the Olympics, guys. Right. That's not how we make an impact on the world. And that's not how we tap into our magic and do what we're meant to do. Because in that game, if you think about it for a second, you've already lost time. Absolutely. So I know when I ask that question, there's a little whisper inside of you that says, oh, that one thing. Like, we know what that is. We know what that potential is. We don't talk about it. Right. Because we don't want to acknowledge it. Right. But we know what it is. Yes. So I think it's very, very important to when that comes up, just like Nessa said, it's up to us to reassure the scared little kid inside of us that is just wanting to be safe. Like, hey, I'm in the driver's seat and I've got this. I think that leaning into that discomfort is where the magic happens.
Discomfort, not pain. We say this in yoga.
That's very good.
Keep stretching. If you feel pain, that means you need to back off.
Mm.
Any spiritual, emotional, physical, we
Mental.
don't push through pain, but we can sit with discomfort.
There's
vast difference.
And you can learn from discomfort.
Yes. It's like stretching of a muscle. You don't go ahead and lift
Rip it.
200 pounds when you can only handle maybe 5 or 10. You have to work your way up. So sitting with discomfort and whatever feels uncomfortable, listen to what it has to say, and then process it, comfort what needs to be comfort, hear what needs to be heard, and then move forward a little bit deeper. But we're talking baby steps. We ain't talking like go for the biggest thing that hurt you or is hurtful or feels painful. No, you don't press into pain. You sit with discomfort.
The interesting thing that came to me while you were saying that is so often people will do the thing and then go straight, like they'll go straight for that 200-pound dumbbell, try to lift it and be like, see, I couldn't do it. And now I got hurt because of it. It is not safe to push myself.
Yeah.
So it is this, and that's where, when it comes to New Year's resolutions and goal setting, people go straight to the pain.
Right.
They go straight to goal setting for like, you know what? I think I'm going to 10x my income this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
This is the magic year.
Yeah.
And then they never do anything different.
Yeah.
And expect it to happen.
Right.
And like, see, what's the point?
Exactly.
I can't do this shit.
Right.
So it's actually a form of self-sabotage.
Yeah.
To, instead of going from the 10s to the 15s, going from the 10s to the 100s.
Yeah.
There is a big difference between, like, you can have 100 be your goal, but you have to give yourself the steps to get there.
Yeah.
You cannot, like, and you can feel the difference in your body. Discomfort is, ooh, that's a little bit heavier than last time, but I can do this.
We're going to breathe through it.
We're going to breathe through it.
Slowly lift that thing, slowly, and then we'll slowly drop it back down, and we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Until it becomes easy.
And I can look back at my own proof of, well, I went from 5s to 10s, and it took a little bit of time, but I was okay.
Yeah.
So I know that I can go from 10s to 15s. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
It's a different energy in your body stepping up to those 100s. And like, here goes nothing.
Yeah.
Like, let's just give this everything we got and just see what happens, see if it even budges.
Going into something educated, just researching versus none of that is very different. Yes, you will feel pain if you go into it unknowledgeable without any help and just blaze going. Versus I'm going to do a little bit at a time. You're still going to reach the goal, but you also get to feel the energy of reaching all those steps before reaching the bullseye.
That's where you're actually building from a place of stability.
Yeah.
Instead of, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
It's the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah.
It's taking the journey one step at a time versus blast off. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna, like, they're really far behind me. I'm just gonna take a nap and then we'll get back at it later. It is like the same thing. It is also the contrast between hustle culture, like hurting hustle, and then hustling from a healed space.
Yeah.
It is a very, very different energy, hustling for your worthiness than stepping into, I am worthy.
Yeah.
I am already that thing. And I'm going to lean into my discomfort and grow.
Yeah.
It is not the fast track to hustle for what you're wanting. You're actually setting yourself up for self-sabotage.
Going about it quickly.
Yeah. Trying to, and which is what a lot of these, I'm going to get on a tangent, but this is what a lot of these extension companies do. They talk about how these are the numbers that we're doing. And if you follow our advice and do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then you can have this life too. You can have this Gucci bag. You can have, these Louboutins. You can be operating in 100K a year, a 300K a year. You can have a team of people. And they put this in front of you and they're like, if you do what we say, you can lift this 100-pound dumbbell, but only we can get you there. And you have to buy into what we're doing to have this goal that you want. So they're disconnecting you from your power. You can't do this on your own. You need us for the answers.
Mm-hmm.
So that you're like, fuck, I'll never be able to get to 100 pounds on my own. I'm only at 10 pounds. Like, if I really want, do I want to spend all this time trying to figure this out on my own? Or do I want to pay them a bunch of money to be able to lift 100 pounds in a little bit of time? So then you're already doubting yourself,
Mm-hmm.
going into this place where now someone else gets to tell you if you're doing a good job or not. Someone else gets to say if you're hitting the mark or not. So it's these companies that are profiting and making insane money hurting people.
Yeah.
And it pisses me the fuck off.
Yep.
I get so fired up about this shit. And it's not even this is huge in the extension methodology world, but it's also happening in the personal development coaching wellness space with people who have no credentials.
Mm-hmm.
They took a little online class and now I'm a coach.
Yeah.
And just like I was talking about earlier with manipulative marketing, it is so easy to disconnect people from their power.
Mm-hmm.
It is so easy to manipulate people into trusting you and hijacking that connection to get what you want from them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wrong.
Yeah.
And I feel like for these companies and these companies are so focused on the numbers, they lose track of the people, which is what pisses me off the most.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get this big idea built up in your head about what this company is going to do and this community that you're going to be a part of. And then you get in and it's like,
You're forgotten.
This sucks.
Yes.
This sucks miserable. And I do not like it. And I feel even more alone now.
Yeah.
I feel more alone in this community than when I was on my own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I am at this space where I would rather brave the wilderness than sit there and be a part of any of this shit.
And just be another body to warm a seat.
To perpetuate the power over instead of the power with.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
With any company.
Mm-hmm.
Ever again.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather brave the wilderness. I would rather let people see me fall on my ass, daring greatly, than sitting on the sidelines. And I know that there's a lot of people that feel that way too.
Yeah.
And I know we have a lot of hair friends or even other beauty industry friends. This is not just the extension world, guys. This is niche things, specialty things. This is happening all over the place. A lot of this is because of social media and marketing tactics and stealing cult manipulation tactics and implementing them from a business standpoint. It's not a cult, but it's pretty culty.
Yeah.
It's pretty, it's questionable.
Yeah.
And it's because it works.
Yeah.
Which is what pisses me off so much and why I'm so obsessed with learning everything I can about it to fuck it up.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna like get off my high horse on this, but I get really, really, really worked up about this. And I have a lot that I want to say about this. And I know that I'm going to be talking about these things more.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the important thing is for people to understand there's a different way of living your life. It is not be on your own or be part of one of these communities. And I say that because I am on fucking fire to build a space for people because people just want to belong.
Yeah.
People want to be part of something and feel held and seen and valued and treasured and like they want to know that they matter. And I'm sick and tired of companies taking people's money and then just like ignoring them, never responding to emails or messages and just kind of kicking them to the curb. And I am so committed to and intent on making sure that what we are building is not just a safe space, but a brave space for people to be their most authentic selves. It's going to take time.
Yeah.
It's not going to be perfect because perfect doesn't exist.
Exactly.
We're going to figure it out as we go. But what we're creating and the community and the powerful people and that are going to come out of this and the conversations and the connections that are going to be made is going to change the industry.
Oh, yeah.
So we can't really we can't, people want so much from us right now. And I get so many messages, and Nessa and Sierra manage my Instagram. And my Instagram is flooded with messages of like, Kim, I'm ready. Like, can you please, like, can I please work with you? Like, what are you doing? Like, is your sabbatical up yet? Like, come on, Kim, I'm ready. And I want people to know that I am not taking my next steps lightly. I am being so thorough with everything that I'm building because I want to do it right. And
to the best of your ability.
to the best of my ability, but also this is what people deserve. They deserve someone that actually cares about them. And
that listens and sees them and allows them to be themselves.
Exactly. And that's who we are. That's what we do. So I am definitely going to be telling you guys more about that in the future. But for now, Nessa and I would love to support you guys and hold space for you during all this reset time and this pivotal time where we're in this internal season of pivoting and shifting and rethinking things. Like, there's so much more that goes into this than the few questions that we wrote down and processed through. There's so much behind that. And we love having these conversations and holding space for people to do this processing. Like, that is what sets our hearts on fire. If your intuition is nudging you towards connecting one-on-one with either Nessa or I, we'd love to have a conversation with you. You don't have to wait until we've built what we're building. Like, we can have a conversation when you're ready. So whenever you're wanting to make that happen, you're just going to head to the show notes on this podcast episode and then click on the IG profile of the person that you're wanting to connect with. Then you'll head to their link in bio and tap that little link. And then both of our Instagrams are set up the same way. We keep it like that for you guys so it's simple. And it just is so much smoother that way. So there's a series of buttons on Linktree. The top button for both of us is going to say book a strategy call. You're going to tap that button and fill out the jot form. that's going to give us really good insight as to what you're wanting to talk about. And then you'll be able to schedule your call with us from there. That I feel like that's very simple. I feel like I said that really well. But if you have any technical difficulties, all you have to do is just shoot us a DM, or if that doesn't feel good for you, you can send an email and we'll get you taken care of. This is a really, really, really pivotal time of year that people often just kind of breeze past, or they are like crossing their fingers and waiting for the time change in March. And I feel like we miss out on our own potential when we breeze past this point of the year. So it really, really like lights my soul on fire to be able to hold space for people and do these calls.
Absolutely.
And with what we have coming in the future, like we have some really, 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 really exciting things we're working on for 2023. I'm like trying to not give too much away. I feel like I already said a lot and I probably shouldn't have said, but it's fine because I feel like it needed to be said. But we have so many super exciting things that we're working on right now. And I can't.
Are you sure you can't spill anything else?
I guess. Okay. I can't say like too much, but it's really killing me to not say anything. So what I'm going to say this one thing, guys. Okay. We will be launching in-person classes this year. That is all. That's all I'm going to say. That's all the details I'm going to give. We are doing in-person classes, and I'm so fucking excited because like we're also in this energy of like getting the salon ready for that. So we're pivoting on branding, we're pivoting on how we're setting up the space and like facilitating that. And I'm really, really, really fucking stoked about it.
Can you even like mention a date and when that will launch, or a date when you will mention anything?
No, no. If anybody wants to know what's going on, they're gonna have to join the wait list because and here's why. I don't mean that to like be an asshole. I say that because if I commit to a date, I want to follow through on that. And with the standard of excellence that I have, not perfection, standard of excellence, I want to make sure that everything is ready to hold that. So I don't want to end up having delays and miscommunications. Like, I want to be set up for success to give people what they need and blow people away when they get here. So the only way people can actually find out about that is joining the wait list. And the people who are on our wait list right now are going to be the first to find out anything.
And what's the name of the wait list?
I don't know if it really has a wait and like a name. It's just like my wait list. But those, well, I think it would be, I honestly don't know what I have labeled right now.
It will be right under the top one.
It'll be the second button, whatever it is. We'll make sure that joining the wait list is like the second button for both of us.
Yeah.
But the people who are on the wait list get first dibs on tickets. And I will tell you, okay, I'm going to do like one more little detail. So with the space that we have, we're not doing a ton of seats for these classes. They're going to be like smaller, more intimate classes. So the tickets are going to sell very quickly. So they probably won't even go public and like be put on stories or reels or anything like that until because I'm very big about like respecting and honoring the people who have said, "Hey, I want to be here. Please tell me all the things." Like I want to honor those people first because that's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So that's going to sell first. Those people are going to get first dibs on those tickets, and it will probably be multiple rounds before I actually release tickets publicly. So if whoever, like if this is like burning in your chest and you know that you want to do in-person education with us this year, get on the wait list and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
Make sure you do use your cell number just for texting, because we are going to be utilizing text blasts for things and all of that. So I want you, because nobody checks their email anymore and it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
So please make sure that whenever you fill that form out, you're putting your phone number on there. I'm not going to call you. I don't like talking on the phone. Okay. But I will make sure
That you know.
and you have all the information that you need, and you're going to get a good opportunity to like claim the seat that is already yours.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be in our links in bio, probably the second button, but it'll be the only one that says waitlist.
Yeah.
I don't have fancy names. Sorry.
Join the waitlist.
We call it the waitlist. Ooh.
Okay, this has been a really good conversation, and I've really enjoyed just spending time with you. And I feel like I can speak for everyone. It's been so good to hear your voice and to feel your energy and to just hang out with you. And everything that you have said was so powerful and absolutely needed to be heard.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's been really hard being away. And something I was saying to you earlier, and I will share on the podcast, it's like I'm feeling so good, but I know I've just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
And I cannot go back to how things were if I want things to be different. Like I have to continue on my healing journey and I'll give myself the cocoon that I need. Like I cannot break out of the cocoon before the wings are fully developed. Like I have to give myself permission to continue what I'm working on.
Yeah.
So I promise you guys, I promise I'll be back on the podcast on a regular basis. It's just going to be a little bit, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm loving listening to everything that Nessa has going on right now. And I'm behind the scenes. I'm here. But I'm so excited to be getting to know people more and being on these strategy calls and then eventually hosting people in the salon. But I really, really appreciate all of the sweet notes and messages that everyone's been sending me, and everyone holding space for me and reaching out and saying how powerful it is for them to see someone do what I'm doing. So I really appreciate everyone reaching out and saying those things. I see them and they all get to me because my team is phenomenal at communication. And I look forward to hugging you in person this year. Every single one of you. I'm so excited.
Yes. Well, as we sign off, we want to say Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year.
And blessings to you and your family and those that you call family and friends and all the good vibes and all the holding space vibes that you may need this year to process and let go to be your most beautiful, authentic self. Bye for now.